Hello, 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 beautiful ones. I am very excited this afternoon to go live with the glorious Sharon Santoni, who will be joining me very shortly. And I will be talking with Sharon today about reinvention. And hello, everybody coming in. Say hello. Tell us where you are from. And I love this subject. I think it's a subject that many women are interested in. Lovely to see so many familiar names. And it's a subject that I've been talking about for almost 20 years, since I had my own personal reinvention back when I was 35, and then again at 50. And Sharon and I have had the glorious opportunity to meet in person numerous times, but we did have this amazing moment about 6 or 7 years ago where we met at a coaching conference, and we were both at key points in our life where we were about to take another road, had to make a choice, or wanted to make choices of where to go. So we were both there exploring what the possibilities were. And I am just so in awe, actually, of Sharon and everything she's achieved. And just incredible how she has kept growing, adding, pivoting, whatever you want to call it. And she's just done it in her most beautiful, elegant, wonderful way. And I think for so many women that I've certainly come across, 40 plus, 50 plus. Hello from Costa Rica. Hello, Soxy Milano. Beautiful to see you. Such beautiful names. So great to see all these lovely names that I've seen on my gram for so long. So yes, so I think we are going to talk about lots of things today, and I think particularly it's super interesting when we are 40 plus, 50 plus, 60 plus, and we think that reinvention isn't possible, or it's too difficult, or it's too late, and how do I start, and where do I start? And I think these are really super interesting questions for women of all ages. Hello, Balu. Hello, Natalie. Gorgeous to see your name there. Lovely waving from everybody. It's really, really great to broach these subjects, because one of the things that I find in my coaching is that women feel bad, for example, when they arrive at a point in their life and they don't know what they want. How do you start? Where do you start? And what I've found personally is that's a really normal thing. So beautiful Sharon is here with us. She's about to be here with us. Let's bring her on. Let's see if we can do this. One of the gorgeous about technology is learning all these amazing things and sharing them with beautiful people like Sharon. And I know, hey, we did it.
Hey there.
Oh my God, I'm always
look
so
at this. There you are on a sunny Greek island, and here I am in Normandy. And the last time we saw one another was in Florence, so there we are.
Exactly. I was just saying to all the people coming in, I'm going to leave the comments for a bit and then I'll get into our conversations. But one of the big moments, as you and I have met numerous times previously, but we both sort of had this wonderful meeting in Florence in a beautiful hotel at a conference, and we were both looking for the next thing for us. And then we sort of went our ways. We went off and did our things. I became a coach. She went off and created like everything, magazines, books, boxes and all sorts of things. So I think I would like to turn the comments off. Is everybody okay? I mean, does it annoy you, Sharon, to see all that?
It doesn't annoy me at all. It doesn't annoy me at all. Because also, if you put this up on your, I think if you put it up on your IGTV afterwards, the comments don't show. So I don't mind at all.
Okay, so what we're going to do is, if you have a question, I will do my best to try at some point, look at it and see it and still have a conversation with Sharon. So welcome, beautiful Sharon. I know you are going to be such an inspiration to so many of these women. I am just going to introduce Sharon for 2 seconds. Back in 2009, I believe, Sharon, on a New Year's Eve, you decided it was time for a new life. You've had 4 kids, you've been a full-time mum for all those years, and you decided that you needed something new. And somebody introduced you to a blog, the concept of blogging, but you had no idea of how actually to turn a computer on, which is just even more admirable.
Incy wincy detail.
Incy wincy details. And this is the wonderful things that we're going to talk about today. One of the things, questions I really want to start with, and you can tell your story as we go because it's a big story, you know, is really the thing that I find that comes up all the time is women ask me, where do I start? What do I like? And one of the things I've personally found is that that's quite normal when you have devoted your life to, you know, a family and other people. You've been, you know, really caring for other people. A lot of times you lose your rudder and you really don't know how to move forward. So the very first question I would love to ask is, how did you know where to start? And do you have a litmus test for where to go next? And please tell your story in the meantime.
So first of all, thank you so much for inviting me, Carla. It's really, I'm really happy to be doing this with you. Thank you.
My pleasure.
So how did I know where to start? None of this was planned. None of anything I was doing was planned. And I think that is also where I got lucky, because everything, all the different elements, I mean, you know, it's not that many, but the various elements of what we do have all grown organically. So it wasn't like sitting down and writing on a bit of paper, first of all, I'll do this, and first of all, I'll do that, and then I'll do that, and then I'll do that. Because I don't think we can plan that way. I think we have to. I think you can plan for one thing, but inevitably, I won't say the words "it will go wrong," because it's not a question of things going wrong. It's just that with time, your idea will evolve and you'll realize there's a better way of doing it. Or actually, when you thought you wanted it to be blue, actually, you're going to suddenly realize, no, it would be way better if it was green, or whatever it is. So things evolve. So how did I know what I was going to do? I simply, as you just said, 2009, I'd been a hands-on mum for 20 years and loved absolutely every minute of it. But the youngest of the 4 kids was 13 by then, and I really wasn't feeling very useful anymore. And I was getting sort of fidgety and bored, and, you know, it just wasn't, I knew I was going to, it wasn't a positive situation. So literally New Year's Eve 2009 at midnight, I raised my glass of champagne. Nobody was really listening, but I didn't care. And I just said, 2010's the year I reinvent myself. But I didn't know what I was going to do. This girlfriend introduced me to the world of blogging. I was blown away by the quality of the blogs that I discovered out there. The way that people wrote so well, the quality of the photography, the humor, the emotion, the creativity. I had no idea. As I say, I hardly ever turned on the computer, so I had no idea all this was going on. And suddenly, not only did I find out it was going on, but also if I wanted to, I was actually allowed to join in with that party. Just had to work out how to make my computer work, how to make my computer work, and then figure out how to create a blog. So that was the first real joy of that, was this learning curve, which was simply, to begin with, how to work out how Blogger worked. And then the huge triumphal moment when you actually managed to hit publish for the first time. And in actual fact, if anybody's thinking about starting a blog and worrying about that first blog post, don't worry about it, because nobody knows you're there.
Nobody's watching.
Nobody's watching. Nobody knows you're there. It doesn't matter what you write for the first time, because you always go back and change it afterwards anyway. But at the moment when it happens, it feels monumental, and it feels very big, and it feels good as well. And so the second part of your question was my litmus test for of where I started and where we've taken things since. I really think anybody who says to me, if I'm going to start a new activity, you have to follow your heart. I think that it's only by being authentic and by being who we really are that, first of all, we're going to enjoy it. And secondly, we're going to make a connection with people. Look at you, Carla, with what you're doing. What comes through in anybody who meets you, or anybody who reads you or sees your photography, is this joie de vivre, is this enthusiasm, is this lovely, big, generous personality. And and that's who you really are. And that is really authentic, and that's why it works, because people feel that energy from you, and they latch onto it. And so again, if anybody is thinking of starting a blog or an Instagram or something, be true to yourselves. One, because if you try and be something you're not, people will get wind of that. And two, you won't have as much fun if you're pretending to be something that you're not.
I think one of the things I found is that, you know, my entire journey is pretty much, in a way, another version of yours, where I just follow the feel good. Like, oh, I like that, I'll go over there. And for me, it's become a very clear signposted way to move forward. And for a lot of people, it feels very loosey-goosey, and that couldn't possibly work. But I'm really curious, is that something that you kind of, how you work, you know, as you've got so many projects, you know, you've got the books, you've done the books, the blogs, you've got the subscription box, and you've probably got other things too, I can't remember now, I've got so many things. Is that how you go, like, oh, that feels good, that's, oh, I'm curious about that, oh, how do you do a subscription box, oh, that looks like fun? Is that sort of how it works for you, or does somebody come to you with an idea? Like, I mean, how the hell did you get to be an editor of a magazine? Like, that's enormous. You know,
it is enormous. It is enormous, and it is working, and I think it's beautiful and it's fun to do. Doesn't mean it was the best idea in the world, because nobody in their right mind starts a magazine these days. So how did it happen? So I was doing this. I published the blog. You and I were sort of blogging at the same time in those early days, and you remember how much content we put out there.
Yeah.
The blogging world was quite different there at that time as well. Not many of us had any commercial aspect to the blog. And then I think we all started saying, hold on, this is actually becoming a full-time activity.
It's a lot of work.
I've got to justify all this time and work and effort that I'm putting in. And it's funny how it's a female trait to sort of feel that talking about monetizing something is almost like a dirty word, and it's not actually. There's no shame in saying I'm working full time at this. I'm allowed to put a price on that, and I'm allowed to turn that into a business and to in some way, you know, benefit from all of this work. And in actual fact, by doing that, that activity will only become stronger and richer and more interesting. So so there I was, chugging away at the blog for 5 years, which allowed me to build up quite a wonderful community around the blog. And then started, that's right, I was often talking about going antique hunting, and people started writing to me and say, oh, can we come antique hunting with you? And so that's pretty much how the tour started. Then the publisher, Gibbs Smith, offered me a book deal, which was a big boost for me, because it gives you don't make a fortune unless you're called J.K. Rowling. You don't make a fortune from books, but it does give you credibility, which is great.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And then, so the first book was in 2015, the second book was in 2017. And at the beginning of 2017, we launched the subscription. Because by then I had a young American assistant with me, Hannah, who really helped me think through the process. And we launched this subscription box because we realized that I had built up this community who were interested in all things French, who loved to shop, and who trusted our sort of, didn't even call it a brand then, but just who trusted me and the blog to be honest with them and to offer them quality items at a good, that I believed in, that I would be happy to put my name behind. So that's how the subscription box started. In case anybody's wondering, this is what our subscription box looks like. It's a big, beautiful white box. And when you open it up, it's always beautifully wrapped. I don't know if you can see.
It's glorious. Yeah, it's a little bit dark. But,
beautiful box, all with, ribbon and tissue paper, and it's always jam-packed full. of 6 to 8 French items, and we've actually become real ambassadors for French brands with the box.
Yeah.
So that happened. And then in 2019, I started the magazine because I realized how much the blogging world was changing. And I wanted to explore a different channel of communication, really. So the magazine looks like that, and we've got the wonderful Carla Coulson in this edition, actually, which is great.
I love it. I mean, everything. When you sent me the edition, I was just like, oh my God, it's just so delicious. It's so glorious, so sumptuous. I mean, you know, I've worked for a lot of magazines over the years. That's what I was doing long before I had my own photography business and became a coach. I was doing, working for publications. And when I saw yours, I was like, this is serious. This is really good. So it's really, really beautiful. I think it's just, you know, one of the things I love about what you've done is that, you know, we're really allowed yourself to build a business around things that bring women joy as well. Yes. Like, you know, a gift box. I mean, who wouldn't want a gift box from France? I mean, what a beautiful idea, but allowing yourself to think, oh, I can make a business out of something that's beautiful and joyous, brings me joy and brings other women what joy. I think, you know, more people need to be told that story. It doesn't have to be, I mean, of course, I'm not saying there's not work behind it, but it can be something that you love. Or
I have so much fun. I mean, I work hard. I really work long days, but I have a lot of fun. And I've got this small team of women, mostly women, whose company we've just had a team day here today. I've just taken them all back because everybody works remotely in this modern world, but we get together at least once a month and have a team day either in Paris or out here in Normandy. And it's just such a joy to work with these women who are bright and creative and dynamic, and you know, we laugh a lot and we brainstorm a lot and we bounce ideas off one another. It's a real privilege, I think.
I think, you know, one of the things that I love, you know, as a photographer and, you know, making and doing things as well is I'm obsessed with the creative process. And I think for me, it's been a really great learning curve as a control freak. And, you know, when I became a photographer, I had to let go, you know, I had to let the creative process also do its part. It taught me so much as a human being about how to do things better. So I often say, you know, my photography is my greatest teacher. What does your family, or how has creativity, how has just becoming Sharon Santoni sort of affected your relationships? What else did I write? You know, affected your relationships with your outer world, but also like with your inner world, like with you, like how are you different today to that woman back in 2009? Like, what's, you know, how's it sort of changed you?
I think so it's made me realize how vital it is for me to be creative every day. It's almost as important as breathing. I honestly, if I've had a week which is just about emails and talking to the accountant and in and out of Paris and with stuff that has to be done. But if I've had a whole week of that and I haven't had time to get out into the garden and think about the garden or do something creative or get deep into the design of the magazine or written something that I'm happy with on the blog, I really, I feel unsatisfied. So being creative every single day, ideally, almost every day, hopefully, that's very, very important for me. And I've forgotten that there was a second part of your question. I've forgotten what I was going to say.
It's really just about like how I can imagine like your family, like, you know, remembered you saying, oh, by the way, gang, I'll be renting myself next year. Like they must be like, oh, wow, watch mum go. Like, you know, everything you've created must have had a huge impact on their respect for you.
Yes, I think it has actually. That first of all, I wouldn't have been able to do it without the encouragement and support of my husband and my family. not support in a financial way, because my little company, you know, is working as a proper company, and it's built itself up over the years. But it's the way that your family is looking at you, and the way that the ones that you love look at you and they approve of what you're doing, is actually really important. So you asked me, in what way do I feel different? I do feel that I'm managing to be creative a lot, which I love. And I think it's built up self-confidence as well, which, as a 60-something-year-old woman, in today's age, that's not a very, you know, that's not really a sort of age when you think, oh, okay, so she's on it. You don't
She's
really
right.
think that. But if you, and it took me a while to understand that actually people were looking at me, especially if I turn up somewhere to take some photos for the magazine, which I don't do very often, but on the less important subject, sometimes it's me who turns up to take a few pictures. And I often know that there's going to be that moment when I walk in the room with my camera and my tripod, and you see that sort of fleeting glance in people's eyes saying, oh, okay, so she's that old. Okay. And you have to get over that really quickly, and you have to sort of compensate that. And it can sort of take the wind out of your sails for a split second. Then you have to say, no, actually, do you know what? I'm here. I'm shooting for my own magazine. These people want to be in my magazine. And okay, I've got more wrinkles than I had at 20 years old, but you know what? I'm having fun. I'm playing my game by my rules, and we can be proud of the quality of the work that we're putting out there. So I think it's been a big confidence booster, and I think anybody who's wondering about going down a new path and following their passion, that's something that they can expect. Not just the next day, but with time. I'm sure you find that too. You find that too.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the most beautiful things to see in other women. I mean, I thank my process of leaving, you know, my life at 35 to go find what I loved. I thank that process for building my self-esteem. I always say it's like, you know, brick by brick, photograph by photograph, you know, all these little things build up one day, and then you turn around and you go, okay, I'm in a pretty good place. I'm pretty happy with the way things are, you know. And I think this is one of the other things I'm sort of slightly obsessed with it as well, is that I say to people all the time, you know, age is a bonus. It can be a bonus. Starting a business at 40 or 50 plus no longer is this, you know, women tend to say, oh, but I'm starting from scratch. My thing is, you're never starting from scratch, because you bring with you all of your information, all of your experience. So I just really want to hear what you've got to say from your point of view. Like, how was the age a positive thing starting your business, and like what kind of attributes helped you? Because you have fast forward, I mean, you're amazing. I mean, what you've created, you know, what parts of all of that stuff that you learnt in the previous 20, 30 years helped you be so successful?
I'm not wild about the word successful.
Oh, because you choose your words.
Yeah, because success is so, you know, what I've done compared to some people is nothing. And also, you know, this is a business. I hope it's all going to work, but you never know. So I'm not really wild about the word successful. But how has age helped me to get where I am today? Well, actually, maybe the way I just answered your comment, maybe that's something that you can do with age, that you can stand back and say, let's see the bigger picture. So maybe I feel like being a little bit older, I'd like to think I was wiser, but I'm not sure if that's true. I try to be more realistic about my own abilities, and more realistic about ideas that are brought to me, and what we would be able to do as a company. And I think also having spent all those years as a mum and watching the children grow, also I don't want to compare my team to my children. That's not what I'm saying. But I think as a mother, you do have to keep an eye on everybody and manage expectations and keep things in balance. And I think that's something that's a skill set that I learned as a mum, on which I can apply as the business, keeping things in balance. I think, you know, don't forget that I started all this without any business training at all, like none. Zero, nothing.
Amazing.
Never had a business. So for the technical stuff, I rely on my accountant, and sometimes I have to call a lawyer to ask him advice as well. But otherwise, it's just with gut instinct, and also applying experience as a mother running my household when I had a budget to manage. And I suppose I pretty much apply it to the same things here. If I don't have the money to spend, well, then I don't spend it. Mm-hmm. You know, and so if in my company I've wanted to do something new, like start the magazine, then somehow I had to get another part of the company to produce the income necessary to launch that magazine. And that feels to me like very much a sort of a mère de famille, the mother of a family, reasoning, saying it's okay, well, when we're ready, we'll do it. So I think that's a very long-winded answer to your question, but I think that's probably, age just brings you maybe more experience and a clearer vision of what's going on.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I see for you. I say to women all the time, you know, like, you don't realize it, but you have in here all of your life, all of the, you know, every day you've been gathering information. Yes. On what you like, what you don't like, what your taste is. And I can see that in everything that you do. You said you had a clear vision, but I can see you have a really a clear taste as well, like a style that has gone across all the other things. And I think this is the thing I always see when I teach photography, is that people don't realize that they're always going to have their own vision and style. And yes, no matter what you decide to apply that to, it's super exciting, because you've already got this information as well as all of the other skill set, like you say. So actually, there's a question here from, I think it's Sheila. Is financial support critical to succeed? I'll let you talk. I'll let you answer that.
Well, that's difficult. Thank you for that question, Sheila, but that's quite difficult. It depends on your sort of, you know, financial living situation. I launched my company from nothing, without any backing. I didn't get a loan. I've had none of that. But there again, I was living in a house with my husband, and the bills were being paid. So, and you know, as I said, for the first 5 years of blogging, there was no income at all. So I was in that comfortable situation of not having to worry about that. But then once I decided it was going to be a company, and I created this company, I didn't need any financial backing because of the sort of business model that we've got. Subscription boxes are people subscribe, they pay, and then they receive the boxes. The magazine subscription, it's the same. But I should imagine that another person might have a project which requires a lump sum to begin with to get them going. You know, there's not just one answer to that. It's really depending on what you're wanting.
Absolutely, it depends on what you're making and how you're doing it and your business model, I think.
Exactly. I mean, you want to set yourself up in photography and you don't have any material. Well, you know, Carla, that can be quite a costly thing.
Yeah, you need to invest. I mean, I always say to people, you know, when you're starting a business, you're starting a business. Like, you need to get ready to spend money and invest money, and it's. There's sorts of business that you can start that you don't need loads of money, and you can grow as you go. But, you know, you kind of already need to say, okay, I'm in business. I'm going to take this seriously. Okay, I'm going to probably need some money. So it's kind of normal.
And also don't forget that if you start getting any kind of team around you, then knowing that all those people, however many you have, need to be paid at the end of the month, that really concentrates your mind as well, because it's a huge responsibility.
Absolutely.
And you know, you mustn't let those people down. It's just not possible.
Yeah, it's great. One of the things I think I come across all the time, I'm sure you've had these discussions too, is about courage and fear. And I think, you know, it's very, you know, when we dare to do something new, you know, there is a certain amount of courage that one requires. How do you navigate courage, and how do you manage fear, if you have any at all? But I'm sure you do. And, you know, is there a thing that something, you know, when something really scary happens to you, or when you have to take a big leap, is there something, how do you navigate that?
So I think about stuff day and night, that's for sure. I think about stuff day and night. Sometimes I do that very basic sort of, I think, quite feminine thing of sitting down, cup of coffee, glass of wine, and writing out lists. I have to get the ideas out there, put them on paper, and that's always with pencil and paper. It's never on a keyboard, because I don't know, it's a completely different process.
Absolutely.
So I think stuff through. I'm really lucky that my husband, who isn't in any way involved in my business, but he's always aware of what's going on, and he's a great sounding board. When I've got an idea or I'm worried about something, I can just say, listen, what do you think about this? And sort of throw the information at him. And he's a fantastic sounding board for me, and I'm very, very lucky to have that support there. But yeah, courage. You do need courage to do any kind of business. Maybe you need courage and optimism, and maybe you need a little bit of giddiness as well, and just like, yeah, okay, this will work. I do think you need that sort of yeah, it's either my dad used to say, he was in business, he used to say he's either brave or stupid. And you know, you sort of stuff to think, yeah, that will work, we'll manage.
Oh. I mean, I guess the thing is, you know, when people haven't stepped out of their comfort zone for 20 or 30 years, any little thing can feel pretty scary.
Yeah.
And I like to think, you know, that I believe that courage and managing fear in a way is a muscle. And I imagine you've had, like, you know, it's a muscle you've developed over X amount of years now. I mean, these are 11 years that you've been doing the thing. So I think, do you think we get braver, or we just, our comfort zone grows and then we just get used to that and then we take another step?
I think this comes back to what I was saying about building up self-confidence. As little by little you realize, oh no, actually this is working. Actually, there's a great phrase, imposter syndrome. And which is, I think it's very easy to think, oh, I can't do that because I don't know how, or I haven't been trained, or they're going to know that I don't know what I'm doing. And then you have to say to yourself, no, hold on, you do actually know what you're doing, because you've been researching this, because you've been preparing, because you do have a skill set. And so you overcome that fear and that worry by reasoning yourself and reminding yourself. It's not saying to yourself, you're the best, you're amazing. It's simply saying, no, I am legitimately in the position that I'm in today, and I can interview this person for an article for the magazine, even if they're famous or something and I'm nothing. I can take these photos. I can do these different things. So just try and sort of take a deep breath and think about the actual, dissect the situation and say, yes, I'm allowed to be here and this is why.
Yeah, keep going and do one thing at a time. What I wanted to talk about community, because I think it's such a huge, amazing subject right now with everything that we've gone through in the world, being isolated. It's been a really, you know, trying 18 months or whatever it's been now. So it feels like it goes on and on. What is the role, of course, you know, when we think of community, we always think of the people around us in a village or in a town or whatever, our nearby friends, but you have this great international community online. How, you know, how's community impacted your life and your business, this online community? I'm going to shut the windows, lady, that's okay, because I've got some dogs barking in the background.
Oh, I can't hear them. I can't.
Oh, can't you? Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, it's completely changed my world. Absolutely changed my world. Don't forget that I'm living in a tiny little village in the middle of Normandy. So I'm an hour and a quarter from Paris, but I am in the middle of a valley in the countryside. So I'm not. I don't have tons of people around me, and also. And this is something to be aware of when people are launching a business at 40, 50, 60 years old, whatever, is bear in mind that you're probably going to put yourself slightly out of sync with your friends that you've had up till then. And we've got some great friends around here. And a couple of my girlfriends work still because they are employed by somebody. But I do know quite a few who were mothers to their children and then who didn't ever really take any sort of career move, which is fine as well. I'm not knocking that in any way at all. But today, some of them aren't at all interested in what I'm doing, and some of them is like, you know, why are you going to all this trouble when you could come and have lunch with us or come and play tennis or whatever. So don't forget that if you do this, you're probably going to get yourself out of sync with your existing community, and you will really be pleased to find friendships elsewhere as well, because people who can suddenly speak this new language that you're speaking. And this friendship and fellowship, and especially I think women in a business and social media situation are very mutually supporting, which I think is wonderful. Look, you and I, or with some of the other bloggers that we've been moving along with, it's like Vicky Archer or Tish Jett, or some of these people that we've started blogging with at the same time. Never would any of us try and knock what the other one is doing. We're happy to see their success. We're happy to see them grow. We're really interested to see what they're doing next, how they're doing things. And so community that used to be family and friends within driving distance is now a lot of people I've never met, and quite a few I have met, and a rather large handful who I now consider to be good friends. And I think that's a real blessing.
I think that's one of the things that, you know, there's so many surprises you would never have imagined when I'm sure you hit the publish on that first blog. And, you know, these communities that I did see there was a question there before about, you know, how did you work out, or how did you figure out the marketing and all of that and the social media behind all of this. But, you know, I think, you know, when we started, which I started my blog in 2008, and of course I had no idea what I was doing. And, you know, it's really been a process kind of figuring out what the hell we're doing. But I think, you know, the community for me has been the thing that really changed everything, because it made everything possible. And I'm sure those people that started reading your blog back in 2010 probably came on your tours, and they probably the ladies that buy your subscription boxes, and they've become, I don't want to say family, but, you know, an extended, you know, valuable community that we see their names. Just like the ladies before, when I was waiting for you, you know, I see these names coming up all the time on Instagram, and you kind of get some sort of reassurance, like, oh, they're my people, you know, like,
yes, yeah, there is. It's funny actually, now and again, we're very lucky in our blogosphere, in our social media world. I don't think we come across many haters.
No.
It tends to be very positive and inspiring and enthusiastic and supportive. Now and again, somebody might leave a sort of slightly different toned comment, and sometimes if it happens in the middle of the night, in the night for me, because obviously I'm in France and a lot of my audience is American and Australia. And if I see that comment the next morning, and then it always makes me smile that very often a couple of other of my readers sort of go in and protect me, saying, why do you have to say that? Why is that? You don't need to. She doesn't do that. That's not the sort of person. I think, wow, thank you. You've got my back.
Very loyal.
Very loyal. Very loyal. Well, more than loyal, really protective. It's lovely.
Yeah.
No, I think, and I think this is also maybe something that's very new with, it's obviously something that's new with internet and social media, in that, you want to know what your audience wants, well, you ask them and they tell you.
Yeah.
Which is great.
And I think, about the marketing piece, that question one of the ladies asked before, I mean, how did you figure out your whole, I mean, has it
little by little, little by little, it grows. It does not happen overnight, thank goodness, because it would be totally overwhelming. But it's all building blocks. It's all building blocks. So for us, we've got 3 websites, and 3 Instagram pages, and the Facebook page. And then we use a lot of other software as well, because here, this is a small example of building confidence, because suddenly say, actually, I'm legitimate now, I can actually talk about this. I can now sit down and have a conversation about SEO and software and emailing platforms and payment platforms and things like that.
And automation and all this sort of,
and that's right. We were at lunch with some friends last weekend actually, and now it's me who's got a dog barking. And there was a grandson there who's just launched his company. Fantastic. My friend had told me about this, so I was pleased to see him and said, "How's it going?" And he sort of looked at me thinking, okay, so how many of these words is she actually going to understand? And I said, so how are you going to market your new project? I think it's always interesting. He said, well, I've started something called a blog. I don't know if you know what that is. I said, yeah, I know what a blog is. And then I said, obviously today Instagram is the name of the game. That's going to be a fantastic tool for you. And I said, can you give me your Instagram handle? So he gave me the name, and I just went on and followed, because everybody wants more follows, right? And we finished chatting, and he wandered across the room to fill up his glass of wine. And I saw him glance at his phone, and he turned around and looked at me, and he said, "You've got a blue tick." and I could see suddenly in his mind, as I like, okay, so she does actually know what she's talking about. So that's nice. But anyway, all of this, nothing comes overnight, nothing comes automatically. And it's all slow baby steps building up. We had one of our Instagram accounts was stolen in November. The Box Instagram account was stolen, which is a horrible thing. And we had nearly 30,000 followers go up in smoke. Instagram did nothing to help us. And so on that account, we've had to start again from zero, which is very painful. Yeah, we've just gone back over the 10,000 bar. If you would like to go and follow MFCH Box, that would be wonderful. Thank you. And yes, all of this takes time. But there's a lot of information out there that tells you how to do it. There's a lot of advice out there. And it's just like when we started our blogs, we were good bloggers. We went and left comments and liked other people, and it's pretty much the same today on social media.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I've always thought is it's a bit like going to a cafe or going to a room of, you're really just going to find your people, and you recognize them when you see them. Same on social media. It's about creating genuine connection with people that you admire. There's no point going off and liking people that you don't connect with. So I think you know, the marketing. I think that's one of the things. I mean, you and I, you know, it's so weird now, but you know, we've been around for, let's say, 12, 13 years doing this. You know, a lot of people stopped, and we just kept plodding along. I mean, you know, I plodded more, but you know, just kept showing up every day. Just kept showing up every day. And I think that's a lot of people aren't willing to do that. Is just to be persistent and patient, and continue to show up and do their thing. And one day you wake up, and all of a sudden, okay, you have a community, and then you have a, you know, this happening and that's not happening. So I think patience is something super, super important. What's a quote you live by and why?
There is a quote I live by. I like to say, keep your eyes and your heart wide open, because you just, when you wake up in the morning, you do not know what that day is going to bring. But unless your heart and your mind are open to possibilities, you won't see it happening. And I really think you have to be open to what's around you. Open-minded, yes, but ready to embrace something new and exciting, and ready to enjoy the moment. So that's my logo, I guess. Keep your mind and your eyes and your heart wide open.
Oh, that's a good one. I think it's getting harder and harder for the human being in 2021 to stay in the present. And like, if we can be present, like you say, and see that rose and see all that, see the magic we've really got in front of us. So,
but don't you think though that this is something that Instagram has brought us, this joy? I'm not talking about the accounts that are there sort of more the show off, because there are some that are there sort of trying to impress and lay it all out, but there are so many that there are just sharing the beauty of something that they've seen. And I love that. I really do.
I believe, you know, there's a lot of negativity about technology, but there's a lot of positivity as well. Like, the level of inspiration that we can tune into now is off the charts. And sometimes it's too much, because we go down rabbit holes and we just go into click into something, and next minute we're there for 2 hours. But we can learn, you know, there's so much knowledge we can gain. You know, back to the market question for a second, it's like, there's so many courses. If you want to get knowledge on anything, we just can go and type into YouTube if we want, even. And I think this is the lovely thing I've found about Instagram. I just keep getting wowed. It's like, wow, there's another one. Oh my God, look at that. Oh my God, you know, and then everywhere in the world. And more, I love, you know, seeing women like you living in a village, having international, creative, exciting, fabulous life. I mean, I think that is the positivity of the internet. You know, like, that's just extraordinary.
Exactly. It really is. And there are real connections can be made, and creativity and business, and especially COVID was so difficult for all of us, and so isolating for very many people, but internet did actually help a lot. Connected so much, including you know, including lives like this, which I love so much. But I do think that keeping my eyes open and sharing the beauty that I see around me, I think that's pretty much key, really, to all of our activities, be it the magazine, the box, or the tours, you know, because we take the tours to we've got one in September in Normandy and Paris, and then next year we're going back to Provence, we're going to the Dordogne and back to Normandy. And each time it really is the joy of taking people off the beaten track and sharing some of the very special things there are here.
So much beauty. What's one tip that you can give creative business women or people out there on how to, I mean, you know, your life sounds like if you didn't know what you were doing, you can risk burnout. It's a lot of stuff going on. What's a tip or a habit that keeps you from this all becoming too much or overwhelming or chaotic or bad for your health? Or, you know, how do you manage it?
I love to sleep. I love to sleep. I do sleep generally. I would, in an ideal world, I'd like to sleep 8 hours a night. I probably sleep 6 or 7 hours a night, but I am lucky that I sleep really well. And if stuff really gets overwhelming, then I tend to turn off my computer, put my phone away, and just go out for a walk with the dogs. And first of all, stop looking at a screen, and then maybe when I get back, jot down some ideas or just see things differently. But yes, it really can get overwhelming, and when you are maintaining social media accounts, it never actually stops. That's the thing. You do have this pressure to create the content, to answer comments. It never actually stops. But you have to put a perspective on that, and you have to say sometimes, no, that's enough for today. Do you know what? If I don't publish today, it doesn't matter. People will understand. But otherwise, that's what I do. I turn everything off. Tell the dogs we're going up to the forest. Make 2 very happy dogs, and off we go. Come back an hour and a half later, quite muddy, and it doesn't matter.
And feeling like a whole new person. I mean, connecting to nature is just such a glorious thing to do.
I'm lucky to live in the countryside, so yeah.
Yes. There's 2. Hang on. Oh no, I thought there was 2 questions here, but maybe I've clicked on the wrong thing. Okay, one last question. I know I really appreciate all the time you've given us today. Such great information, Sharon.
Thank you.
If a lady's sitting out there in her home, anywhere in the world right now, and she is wondering, should I bother? I'm 50 plus. Should I be bothered, going after something? Or what would be your advice to her? Or where to start?
So first of all, I've got, obviously I've now got this business and the magazine and the box, and it's incredibly time consuming. But that doesn't mean that anybody who's going to start a new idea has to go down a business route. You could also say, okay, I really want to do something new and start painting, or start volunteering with the local school, or decide to take a class in something. I think there's so many different ways of finding a new direction. It doesn't have to be business. I would always say it should be something creative, but it doesn't have to be business. So I would say one step at a time. Don't be overwhelmed in advance by something that you don't even know what shape it's going to take yet. Take it one step at a time. Enjoy each step as it comes. Don't get yourself into any trouble. Keep it legal, and enjoy the ride, and then see where it takes you. And if you're in that mindset where you're just going to say, okay, I'm gonna launch this little boat on the water and see where it goes to and enjoy the ride, I don't think, nothing too dreadful can happen, really.
Yeah, I think, I always say to people, about the concept of failure, I think I almost like to strike that out of the dictionary. I feel like that is such a bad word because it puts so much pressure on people to start things or not start things. But I like to think of it as feedback. If things don't work, it's just feedback. Go over there. Now it's saying go back over here. So kind of not to take things too seriously. Take it seriously, like you say, don't do anything illegal, but be ready also that, you might have to just move over, when things don't work the way exactly. Keep on moving.
Keep on moving. And as I said right at the beginning, you have a great idea, but you can be sure that 6 months down the line, that idea will have evolved because you'll have understood that actually you thought it would be good in that direction. Actually, it would be better if it took sort of that direction. And then sometimes you get kicks in the teeth as well. Like when we had our Instagram account stolen, that was a really, really big thing. And then you just have to pick yourself up and get over it and move on. And as you said so well, you turn up each day.
I think one of the things that, people are looking for the perfect idea that will last them the rest of their lives. And I think it's even interesting us since, say, we met each other in Florence. I think that was 6 or 7 years ago now.
Maybe.
And I think it's part of life these days. I don't think it's, exclusive to us, but, we just keep moving with the times because the times are moving. And one in a business these days can just continue to evolve. And if you can have attitude. I mean, what do you think about the idea that you don't just get the perfect idea and run with that for 20 years?
I don't think that exists. I don't think that exists. I don't see how you can possibly have an idea and know exactly how it's going to play out. I just don't think that exists. I think you have an idea, you have a passion, you think, you start with something small that you really enjoy, and you feed it and you nurture it, and you watch it grow, but you don't quite know what shape it's going to grow into. You just enjoy the moment and enjoy the actual fact of looking after it, I think. And what you were saying about things changing so much the whole time, especially in this media world that we work in, that is also actually part of the fun, that you always have to be on your toes. I love that. I love that. I really do love that. That you have to keep up with things. We work with a great web designer who's been with me right from the very start. He built the very first box website. He's in Florida. I've never met him in person. We speak nearly every day, and he's forever calling me up and saying, "Hey Sharon, I've had this idea. You should have a look at this and look at that." We could, and I go, oh, "Okay, another new thing to take on board." But I love it. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess can I just ask you one last question? That probably, I think, is there something in all of this that you could never have imagined? Some glorious, I mean, I know when we start things, we imagine there's many possibilities, but has there been things that you just never would have imagined that Sharon Santoni got to do? Like places you've gone?
Everything. Everything. I didn't even know if anybody was going to read me when I first published the book. So I think it's all a lovely big surprise. Yeah, absolutely. I got a little bit of press recently. I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing, and it's all. And yes, so yes, everything. None of this I could have imagined. Yeah, and that's why I enjoy the ride.
And I think that's the beauty of the true creative process, is that if you are willing to go on it, it will deliver bigger and better and more fun and more exciting and more joy than you can ever logically try and plan out. Like if you have the courage to just follow the feel good, it will deliver. It'll deliver, and it might be just way better than you could have ever imagined. So,
but follow the feel good, and also when things do get a little bit tougher, just sort of grit your teeth and say, okay, we can get through this. There's something that we were talking about brainstorming today as a team, because we've got a sort of a sort of technical thing that we've got to get through, and it's a bit of a pain and it's a bit of a grind, and it is going to take actually quite a lot of work and effort. But we're working with as a team, and at the same time, it's very stimulating to have to find solutions. It's really, and it's a very creative thing. It's great.
And I think I know the technology thing is huge. On one hand, it can be a huge barrier for many women. I mean, I know that sometimes I'm just like, well, I pull my hair out, but I do feel like there is also a joy in it. If you don't go with it and you don't stay with it, you will get left behind. I'm not saying to the point where we're at, but just staying up with the basic technologies. Look at technology too as your friend, and how it can really keep you updated and not get left behind as we continue through life. So my darling, you are amazing. We love you. You have been so spectacular. I just thank you for your time, your knowledge, your inspiration. I mean, personal inspiration. Just every time I watch Sharon go, look what she's doing now. It's just amazing. But I'm sure there's so many women.
Well, thank you so much, Carla, and thank you for being in the magazine and answering our questions in the magazine as well. It's lovely to have you.
It's absolutely my pleasure.
And I hope we'll manage to meet up when you come back, maybe this fall in Paris. That would be good.
Absolutely. Everybody, you can follow Sharon at sharonsantoni.com. And I will put all of the links in, but do please follow MFCH Box. And
MFCH Magazine. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. Thank you.
My love.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.